Hello everybody, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube and Twitch channels. I hope you're all having a wonderful Wednesday, that's it, Wednesday evening. And I am just sitting here chilling out. We're gonna talk about a bunch of political stuff today and a couple of internet brain rotty things before we switch gears into Mortal Kombat. But we are not going to do the Mortal Kombat in the same stream. I'm going to end the stream and then restart the stream. So it's going to be two separate streams. But I hope you guys are all having yourselves a great Wednesday evening, getting ready to watch some videos, learn about some Canadian politics. Now, there was a vote of no confidence today, and it did not pass. However, all is not lost, because there is still another day of opposition tomorrow. The Conservatives get 2. And the Bloc Québécois has given the Liberal Party an ultimatum. And that seems to be based around old age security. Hello, Bishop? Hello. So, that coupled with Pierre Poilievre and his party having another day of opposition tomorrow, I think we might see another vote of no confidence this week, which would be on Friday. And they keep the votes of no confidence are being written very carefully in the Prime Minister, which is a valid argument. Like, it's a valid. If the Bloc Québécois continue with their ultimatum, and then the Conservatives continue to hammer the debate home that the House has no confidence in the current government and the current Prime Minister, then we very well could see an election. And what's really interesting about that is if we do see an election, I was reading from a political analyst today, I think it was Brian Lilly, that we would be voting the day before you guys in the States would be voting. You guys would be voting on the 5th of November. We would be voting on November the 4th. Is very, very cool if we saw an election, like 2 elections back to back. I think that I think that would be actually very, I hope it happens, because we do have, like I said, we do have another day of opposition tomorrow. And then now that the Bloc Québécois is not very happy with the Liberals and they've got this ultimatum, then I think it'll be, I think we'll see another vote this week, this Friday. So.
Yeah, you're gonna, this is going to be interesting. Here's a clip of what you're about to witness.
A clip?
Here's a clip. That's what you look forward to today.
Oh, hold on. That's really quiet.
Oh, sorry. That's because the other thing was really quiet. Here, let's fix this. Ready?
We're seeing from this Prime Minister today is someone who is erratic and lost.
Defecating.
The day has come. Pierre Poilievre has put in his motion of non-confidence in the government yesterday, and today they're voting on that. What you're about to see is Pierre Poilievre absolutely humiliate Justin Trudeau. He keeps bringing up kind of new new questions, new facts. He's
So that's-
exposing the carbon tax, how it's hurting our country. It makes Justin Trudeau look like an absolute fool, and Trudeau has a full-blown meltdown. He gets heckled by the Conservatives. They may have made a comment about him sharing a tub with Tom Clark in New York, and Trudeau has a full-blown meltdown, goes into a fit. He becomes enraged, just an absolute lunatic. Let's jump into this.
Oh,
Today, we'll vote to trigger a carbon tax election
So
between the costly carbon tax.
oh shit. Hold on. Where am I here? Okay.
Coalition.
So
of
this
NDP
is gonna be
Liberals,
question
tax your
period.
food, punish your work, double your housing cost, and unleash crime and chaos, or common sense conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Why can't we bring it home today?
Speaker again with the clever little perform.
25 minutes, so I would skip through it.
Okay.
But I
Fighting the economy, putting more money in people's pockets.
Okay, he's getting.
So have some fun and enjoy yourself.
Okay.
Tone it up a bit.
Okay.
So let's kill this. Sorry, Moose. But yeah, so that's what you have to look forward to on this. But first, we're going to learn about Mr. Beast and his insanity and what the new lawsuit is.
Oh boy.
Thank you, August.
More insanity. God damn it. It's
Well,
at
guys,
2%
we are
again.
once again back. Now, I don't think it's going
Every
to
single one.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Fix this ahead of time.
a saga because it seems like that's happened about a
Okay.
dozen times over the last 2. Well, guys, we are once again back. Now, I don't think it's going to surprise any of you to hear that we are once again adding to the Mr. Beast drama saga because it seems like that's happened about a dozen times over the last 2 months.
Yeah, like every time I think the Mr. Beast thing is done, I keep seeing videos. The Mr. Beast allegations got more crazy. I'm like, oh my god, how? How?
But today there's a twist. Up until this point, it seems like whenever we have talked about this Mr. Beast drama, all we're doing is adding to the ever-growing list of illegal, immoral, and unjust things that Mr. Beast has done. But today it seems like we've been gifted a moment of respite. Mr. Beast is finally getting sued. Now, if you hear me say that and you're not exactly caught up with everything that's happened recently, everything that's been surrounding Mr. Beast for the last few months, you might think that's kind of a weird thing to say, to be like, oh, somebody's finally getting sued. I get that. So just in case you're a normal person who doesn't spend their time following the legal troubles of online celebrities, let's start from the beginning. It all
Yeah, no kidding. In case you actually go outside and do things.
started with somebody named Ava Chris Tyson. Now, Ava Chris Tyson was into some pretty good children. There was a guy named Delaware who opened up this rabbit hole on a dying trying to win the Beast games, which they're not apparently there's a secret CEO finding like then Claire.
I love how August has like 5 of himself just talking.
Okay, so I'll stop that there. As you might imagine, there's just a little bit too much information for a quick, clean recap. At this point, it's been like 3 months of
It's so convoluted. It's so like twisty turny already. There's no way you can do a fast recap. Like, this video is already 16 minutes. If he had actually tried to do a full-on recap of what had happened so far, this video would be like 46 minutes.
Constant controversy. I mean, seriously, at this point, it seems like it might even be the man's content strategy. Just create the biggest shitstorm imaginable in order to make the Mr. Beast name more recognizable. Or at least it did seem that way until this last week when he was hit with a lawsuit filed by a number of contestants who participated in the now infamous Beast Games. And that's what we're going to be going through today. This is sorta a continuation of the whole me putting my foot in my mouth series after I sort of dropped the ball on my initial analysis of the Beast Games.
That's right, because he watched the, oh shit, what was the lady's name? Shit. I can't remember what her name was. But she put out a video talking about how she had gotten information from people that there were people being hurt, women being hurt, and and August the Duck really, you know, he and me too. I will say it. Put our feet in our mouths with the initial analysis.
And also, I'm just curious to see what this lawsuit is claiming and what it's trying to achieve. So there's going to be a lot of reading in this video, so if any of you need to put like a Subway Surfers compilation beneath this or on your other monitor while you listen, trust me, I won't be offended. I understand. So let's not waste any more time. Let's begin. Please subscribe. Now, lawsuit that we're going to look at, but I mean, that's kind of to be expected. Starts off by saying that this lawsuit was filed on behalf of 5 unnamed contestants of the Beast Games, but this lawsuit is seeking class action status on behalf of everybody who has been affected by the Beast Games.
So 5 people. How many people does it take to make a class action lawsuit?
2.
2?
2 or more.
Okay.
Well, it just has to be an action done through a grouping. I have to do something real quick.
Okay.
Performance mode, because you're lagging.
Oh.
You're buffering bad.
Okay.
It's really fucking annoying. The buffering that you're doing is
Well, that's annoying.
everything's trying to load because nothing got paused. So you should be good now.
Which I'm curious to see how exactly that's going to go
All the other
down. In a
videos are
moment,
trying
we're
to
going to
also
look
load
at
back.
what the class action complaints are for, and it applies to
So yeah, 5 people class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
For the Beast Games.
Yeah. Which,
So
surprisingly, that's kind of a small number, but it's nobody's gonna.
Well, it depends.
Kind of is, but it'll be interesting to see. It all goes to how Jimmy's gonna handle this, and how his lawyers are gonna handle it.
Also, how many more people are going to hear about this who could participate and sign up?
Well, listen to what August has to say.
a lot more people than just the contestants, so I'm curious to see who all is going to end up actually benefiting from this. Now, most notably in this article are a few statements that were made outside of the lawsuit that I think are important to take a look at. This is one from one of the lawyers who was working on the case. While participants knew upon signing the contract at the production's inception that they were facing a potentially long and challenging competition, they allege getting a lot more than they bargained for. Several contestants ending up hospitalized, while others reported suffering physical and mental complications while being subjected to chronic mistreatment, degradation, and for the female contestants, hostile working conditions.
So there were targeted in these games that they were subjected to harsher treatment than they were than they were told when they signed up, and then some of them had to actually seek medical treatment. And
of Mr. Beast, and his videos made me smile during the COVID-19 pandemic. I expected to be challenged, but I didn't think I'd be treated like nothing, less than nothing. And as one of the women, I can say it absolutely felt like a hostile environment for us. We honestly could not have been respected less as people, much less employees, if they tried.
That's pretty damning, especially in today's culture of, like, you have to really, if you're an employer, you have to really be on your ball when it comes to the equity and treatment of your workers.
One more statement from the lead counsel on the lawsuit reads, as extreme as the allegations against defendants are here, the law could not be more clear. Participants entered into contracts and they were promised compensation for their services. Their expectation of compensation, along with them being consistently under the control and supervision of the production staff, makes them employees under California law. As such, they were entitled to and denied certain protections. And when you add to that the extreme neglect, degradation, harassment, and inhumane conditions, it's quite simply a massive dereliction of duty for which many sleepless nights and many headaches for Mr. Beast.
Oh, probably. This is probably the thing that's going to affect him the most. Dog pack stuff is annoying to him probably, and that's why he sent out those letters, like the cease and desists and everything. But Dogpack is just a creator on the internet who's making videos that Mr. Beast can ignore, right? All he just needs to do is put out content, and people will find his content. Hey, Ghost Dog! And, but this is different. this is very different from.
Yeah, I know that for some reason California is a really touchy subject for a lot of people. But if there's ever a state that you want to be in when you have some sort of labor law lawsuit, it's California. The laws protecting employees in California are some of the best in the country, if not the best. So that alone is not really the best start for old Jimmy. But as we dig deeper into the lawsuit, it's only gonna get worse. So I want to start off by going through what the class action complaint is for, like we mentioned earlier. I'm gonna throw all of this up on the screen. I don't want to read every single last word, but there's a few things that I think are especially important to focus on. We've got failure to pay for minimum wages, which is going to be a big one, sexual harassment, failure to prevent harassment, negligent infliction of emotional distress.
Jesus. These are some damning allegations here. And, like, the not even making minimum wage payment?
Failure to provide uninterrupted meal breaks and rest breaks, and multiple other complaints. I've never read through a lawsuit. There's a lot just to save time in court, but for the average person going through it, those things don't really matter. So we're going to be reading through a lot, but we're not going to even come close to yourself. That's just part of the game, baby. So with that in mind, just know I'm going to be jumping around a lot, and I'm not going to say every time we're jumping to a new section or there was stuff in between these two. I mean, if I do, it's just going to take forever. So
that makes sense, and I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. August, thank you.
Please just try and bear with me. So the introduction of this lawsuit states that the plaintiffs bring this action on behalf of themselves and a proposed class consisting of all individuals who were engaged as purported contestants in the Beast Games content production, and that
this sounds like it could be open for people to join it with that wording.
defendants' production companies, aka Mr. Beast, and Amazon shamelessly exploited the labor of some amount of people who served as contestants on the Beast Games. Now, the introduction continues, and it sort of defines Mr. Beast, what he does, who he is, what his content is all about, and there's a pretty heavy focus on both the wealthiness of Mr. Beast and his access to money and other resources. There's
Well, that is true.
this focus to make a point that Mr. Beast is this figure who basically has unlimited resources due to the connections he has and the businesses that he works with, which has been proven by how extravagant and expensive his content has become. And this
he literally has endless money, basically. He can do whatever he wants. And that comes with inherent power over people who can't do whatever they want because they don't have endless money.
is followed by them stating, unfortunately, the supposedly magnanimous Mr. Beast did not want to use the alleged unconstrained resources to provide fair, sign unconscionable contracts with legal terms and illusionary obligations.
Can those contracts even be upheld if they are that bad? Like, I don't know, but is there such a thing as a contract that is actually too unscrupulous and full of, like, I guess illegal law, like, writing that a judge could?
They also knowingly mischaracterized the contestants to avoid the defendant's employment obligations under California law. Now, this is pretty important because I feel like there's almost a misunderstanding with a lot of people. It seems like a lot of people think that as long as it's in a contract, it's legal. There are a lot of
just got a flood warning and thunderstorms
really shady and shitty things you can do, but you can't just like overwrite existing law by getting somebody to sign something. In a country and in a state with minimum wage conditions and legal working conditions that have to be met, you can't just go above all of that because somebody signed something. So
no, you can't, like, you can't write up a contract for somebody to cut your lawn, like an adult person to contract to cut your lawn, and charge them like 50 cents an hour, right? You can't do that.
if what the lawsuit is stating is true, this is going to be a shitstorm for Mr. Beast and Amazon. Another thing that might cause quite a few issues is that apparently the defendants knowingly misclassified the contestants in part to obtain a tax credit of over $2 million, which the defendants would have not received if they had disclosed their production's actual labor costs, including the significant labor of the contestants. Now, it would be silly to sit here and act like corporations don't get away with stuff like this all the time. However, if this lawsuit is successful and all of these claims regarding how the contestants were compensated are true, it's going to become pretty hard to ignore the fact that this tax credit was obtained through misinformation. That's not.
So that means they're alleging that Mr. Beast committed a tax fraud.
Not a precedent the government really is going to want to set. And if there's one thing this country does not fuck around about, it's getting their taxes. So this will probably come back to bite them. Continuing, the introduction states that the defendants further relied on the misclassification as a false justification to avoid paying employment taxes and to spare the production the cost of implementing various employment protections required under California law,
Oh, that's a big problem.
including minimum wages, overtime, mandatory meal and rest breaks, workers' compensation benefits, itemized wage statements, and timely payment of wages and reimbursements, among other things.
Jesus. That is big. That is a very large stack of violations that are not small. And I don't mean the stack, I mean the violations themselves are rather large, very egregious violations that any company, even a small company, should know better than to commit.
The defendants then subjected the contestants to unreasonable, unsafe, and unlawful employment conditions. A lot of this is redacted, but they say the contestants were held under strict control and surveillance for days on end, which I imagine is going to be a pretty important piece of the puzzle to prove that these people were employees or should be considered as employees.
How could you surveil your employees? That's not legal. Is it? At all times, like
During the Beast Games engagement, the on-set production staff maintained the strictest control over the contestants, denying them all privacy and access to the outside world. The contestants were fed sporadically and sparsely. They were not given adequate access to hygienic products or medical care.
Oh, that's not okay. So you're telling me that if a woman was on her period, she wasn't given adequate products? Because if that's true, that's not okay.
New York Times reported that
That
over a
can
dozen
cause
people who
infections.
participated in the first installment of Beast Games said they had not received adequate food or medical care and that some competitors had suffered injuries from the physical challenges. The female contestants particularly and collectively suffered as a result of the defendants' actions. The Beast Games work environment systematically fostered a culture of misogyny and sexism where the production staff did nothing. So that's most of the introduction. That's kind of the basis of this class action, and really, given what we've heard and what we've learned over the last few months, none of this really surprises me. We've had multiple people come forward and talk about the in-working conditions in these videos are terrible, so it would not surprise.
Let's see. In California, contestants are considered employees. Hidden cameras behind the scenes. Oh. Thanks,
As we see this
Joe
transfer
Rogan.
over to the Beast Games. Couple that with all the allegations regarding sexual
Probably 'cause of
harassment within
Fear
the company
Factor
and the
and shit.
very strange work culture that seems to exist at the Mr. Beast company of making an extreme effort to keep certain people on the team after they've been outed as sexual deviants or they found out that they're registered sex offenders. A lot of this stuff really does not surprise me. Now, unfortunately for us, due to the nature of the privacy agreements between the contestants and Mr. Beast, even though a lot of it will probably end up not holding up, just to not ruffle any feathers and probably to make their case a little bit stronger, there's a lot redacted from this lawsuit. So really,
That
the
makes
introduction kind of says everything that we can read into.
That makes sense because if they've already signed like NDAs and shit, they're gonna have to be careful with what they talk about.
Obviously, everything that was mentioned in the introduction is expanded upon, but as of right now, most of that expansion has been completely redacted. The deeper you get into the lawsuit, the more you start seeing what are basically completely blacked out pages, except for what's already been mentioned in the introduction. So if I got too much into what's mentioned later in the lawsuit, it's really going to be a whole lot of me repeating myself. But there are a few things that were included that I guess are considered public enough for them not to redact.
So they've like everything that they can't talk about publicly is sealed, I guess. only for the judge to see and the lawyers to see. But for the public filings, those are blacked out pages.
That I think we should take a look at. So I'm going to be firing a few things off. Some things I'll just state because I feel like they're pretty self-explanatory on their own. Some things I'll dive a little bit deeper into. Mr. Donaldson, aka Mr. Beast, made public statements online that he had unconstrained control over the Beast games. And Donaldson had established a pattern and practice of compensating everyone.
Constrained control. What does that mean?
The contestants were told that if they accepted the opportunity to work for the defendants, that they would have to be available for, I'm assuming, some amount of time, and while they were working for the defendants, they would not be able to accept any other employments.
Okay, so like no part-time jobs, no like you can't go work for DoorDash or anything like that. You only
Your employees pretty open and shut. If you say that a person cannot accept any other employment while they are working for you or collaborating with you, I don't see how you could possibly argue that that person was not your employee. Defendants exercise total control over the manner, means, and timing of the work performed by the contestants by controlling essentially every aspect of their lives during the production of the show. Now, a lot of this is redacted, but I still think it's important to note that there are 7 different points in this lawsuit that explain how the contestants were controlled during this production. That does not look very good. Alongside the poor set conditions that were endangering contestants, some of the other contestants themselves were endangering people. It seems like there was an obvious failure to conduct any sort of background checks.
Oh, so the contestants themselves weren't being vetted and they were causing shit. That's a problem. I've seen released classified files with less blackout. Damn.
A tweet by Rosanna Panzino is actually cited in this case, where she talks about receiving information that a man who was previously charged with at least 20 counts for battery, kidnapping, pandering, or pimping, and robbery was allowed on set and slept near the female contestants.
Jesus Christ! They let it. Wow. Okay, that's holy shit. How could you do that? How could you let somebody with that many those are felonies on their record?
That does not surprise me. Production defendants created working conditions that jeopardize the safety of workers, including by not providing sufficient food or drink, taking away their access to something, not having adequate medical staff on site, not providing reasonable medical care, forcing them not to sleep, and forcing them to participate in games that unreasonably risked physical and mental injury.
Forcing them not to sleep? Jesus Christ. You can seriously damage people's brains by depriving them of sleep.
Production defendants additionally created a toxic and hostile work environment for, in particular, the female contestants, who suffered blank as well as sexual harassment throughout the production, as more fully detailed below. The How to Succeed in Mr. Beast production handbook states that it's okay for the boys to be childish, and if talent wants to draw a dick on the whiteboard in the video or do something stupid, let them. Really, do everything you can to empower the boys when filming and help them make content, help them be idiots. Following this, there is a lot of redacted information, followed by because its own employment handbook, as detailed above, laid the groundwork for this collective sexual harassment and sexual harassment against female employees.
So they would do so males would be doing sexual things around females basically to make content better and make it funny. But make it funny for like young teenage boys, right? And they didn't.
Pages of redacted information that I can and believe defendants management up to and including senior management and ownership had actual and or constructive notice that the violence and sexual harassment detailed herein was occurring within the workplace. Which, I mean, again, lines up with what we have heard about Mr. Beast and how he runs his companies.
That is damning. That is very, very damning, especially if you put it together with the guy that Dog Pack interviewed.
When you're a grown man and your employee handbook basically boils down to let boys be boys, that's pretty damn telling.
Any new stuff come out about Diddy? I reacted to Bearing learning about Diddy's bullshit, but so far, the only thing that I didn't know about was that he was denied the $50 million bail package his lawyers offered. The judge was like, nope.
For this, there are more claims of them failing to provide food and water alongside medicine and hygienic products. They mentioned that the productions was so obviously void of standards that even Mr. Beast was allegedly offering to cover the contestants' therapy, which, I mean, that's telling on yourself, right? And then after that, basically any sort of evidence or allegation is redacted. Now, following this...
I'm sorry, if your game is so bad that you're willing to be like, yeah, that was really fucked up. Here, let me pay for your therapy. That's not good, dude. That money cannot make everything go away, Jimmy. I think that's what he's like starting to think, is that money can just make everything go away.
They go into the general allegations, which, like the name implies, is not really focusing on the specific examples showing how the plaintiff and defendant got there. It's more so just the legalese section of the lawsuit, where they're defining everything that they're accusing the defendants of, so that they can use the evidence that they've brought forward against that definition to show that the defendants have done what the plaintiffs are accusing them of doing. So a lot of definitions regarding and clarifications of labor laws, the expectations created by the contracts and agreements between Mr. Beast and the contestants, that sort of stuff. It's dozens of pages of that, and I'm not going to go through it all. For the purposes of this video, I think we've really seen all we need to see. Well, guys, what do you think? Personally, I'm kind of torn. I have high hopes that this lawsuit will be successful. I read through the entire thing start to finish, and while I'm no lawyer, I am a law path major dropout, so... that way. However, I'm basically an attorney, and the lawsuit seems pretty damn solid to me, and I think if this goes in front of a jury, which is what this lawsuit is pushing for, most people are probably going to see it that way. However, I don't know exactly what sort of damages the lawsuit is seeking. I couldn't find an exact number. Some sources are saying $5 million. I can't really confirm that, though.
Well, Jimmy could afford that. That's for sure. Jimmy could absolutely afford a $5 million payout. He definitely needs to be held to account if these things come out to be proven true. And I think that this lawsuit, I really think that this is probably gonna be the thing that really gets him in trouble. The dog pack stuff is that's the problem here. Where am I here? A lawsuit has to be, is it more likely than not? So if a jury finds that it's more likely than not that this is true, then he's absolutely fucked. He's not going to be able to escape this.
9:36 p.m. Cellular 2 at 5G. State menu button. New live chat action menu. New Bishop. Diddy did everybody. Button.
Diddy did everybody. You're not wrong there, Bishop. If Law and Cucks weren't such flagging assholes, they just dropped all 47 charges against Diddy. Holy shit.
Support the stream here at https://streamlabs.com/blindpress. Actions available.
Ooh, what's this? What is this? Disgraceful trip to school protest needs to be investigated. What is this about? It's a little short video. little clip here.
First wanted to ask you about a field trip that was taken by some middle school students at the Toronto District School Board. They were supposed to be going to a rally. It ended up being a political protest, and there are some concerns that they were taking part in this protest. Just wondering what you think hearing those reports, and should the province send in an investigator?
Yeah, I think it's disgraceful. You're trying to indoctrinate our kids. They should be in the classroom learning about reading, writing, spelling, arithmetic, the whole shebang. But instead, the TDSB and these teachers want to bring them down to a rally, a Palestinian rally, and it's ridiculous. I've said this indoctrination for years, and I don't want to paint a broad brush for all the teachers, because it's not all the teachers. It's a small minority teachers. And it's no different in our universities as well. I was just...
He's not wrong.
The kids, telling them Ontario's privatizing healthcare and this and that, and bad actors that are teaching our kids. Number one, you shouldn't be teaching our kids. But number two, stick with your knitting. Stick with teaching the kids the geography, history, math, spelling. That's what they need. They don't need to be indoctrinated in some protest. It's unacceptable. There needs to be an investigation, and we'll be all over this. And make sure people are held accountable, and they think twice about bringing young little kids without the parents' permission on these school trips. It's disgusting.
Yeah. But this is nuts. Middle school kids. So like 12, 13-year-olds. All these protests are why I don't go to Toronto anymore. I don't blame you. No child should be at a protest. You're right. You're right, Ghost Dog. I would be a Toronto District School Board member and I found out my child was taken to a protest. I don't care what the protest is, even if the protest is something that I agree with. I would be like, why the hell are my kids down there? Right? Because that's not what kids need to, kids can learn about what protests are. Right? If you want to do something of value as a teacher, teach kids what a protest is. Right? You don't have to take them down to a protest. Examples of what a peaceful protest looks like and what a violent protest looks like. And it's very important to teach a child the difference between both of those things. And it's very easy to do that. And you don't need to take a child anywhere near a protest. This is why I don't believe in parents taking their kids down to protests either. Because you don't know. Even if you're not going with the intent to cause shit, how do you know that people around you aren't going to cause shit? How do you yo about
y'all
yeah. This is insane. New footage proves that Diddy unalived Kim Porter in a sick way.
Y'all, some new footage just leaked of Diddy and Kim Porter, and it looks like Diddy treated Kim worse than we thought. We have known for a long time that Diddy treated Kim horribly when they were together and even after they broke up. And multiple sources have spoken over this through the years about how Diddy treated Kim behind the scenes. But it's not anything compared to the new footage that just leaked, because it's really bad. The video kind of proves that Diddy might have had a hand in Kim Porter's passing.
Oh shit. This is crazy.
So y'all better sit down for this because the video just might be the ticket that sends Diddy to jail. Okay, so we've been following Diddy's story for a long time now, and you probably already know all the rumors about how Diddy allegedly unalived Kim Porter. Now, for one,
Actually, no, I haven't.
and multiple sources who knew Diddy and Kim have revealed that Diddy used to put hands on her and leave her roughed up. This report from 2005 revealed that Diddy once broke her nose. The report said Diddy
Broken nose. So he must have like freaking put a fist into her face to break her nose.
Combs flew in a specialist plastic surgeon from Geneva after the accident. Porter has since claimed that she hurt her face after she banged her nose on the table. According to Jim Gill, Kim eventually got sick and tired of his behavior, and she started fighting back. She even reportedly sent him to the ER on one occasion.
One night, when they were at home at Kim's
I remember when that was on TMZ. Oh, really?
house on 110th Street, he wanted to, put his hands on her in the wrong way. And Kim took one of those.
Shit. Jesus. So she defended herself with a corkscrew. I mean, like, if you're fearing for your life, what are you gonna do?
And when she did that, he had to rush over to St. Luke's Hospital.
They eventually broke up after Diddy started cheating on her with Cassie. For a long time, people believed that Diddy allegedly unalived Kim because she was writing a tell-all book about him that would have exposed everything. While that probably had something to do with it, Jaguar Wright also made an interesting comment about how Diddy allegedly got mad at Kim because Kim gave Cassie some useful information that Cassie was able to leverage to get her out of the toxic relationship with Diddy.
Oh shit, so Kim probably tried to tell Cassie.
Because see, I know something that a lot of people don't know. I know that you and Kim Porter had a sit down right before she left us. And I know Kim had some very good advice to give you. And I believe that this is why things are happening as they're happening now. Kim was smart, wasn't she, Cassie?
That's scary. That's scary shit. Holy fuck.
Kept you alive and kept you safe. Congratulations on surviving and congratulations on standing up.
And when Kim unfortunately passed away a few months after Cassie left Diddy, Jaguar was one of the first people to call BS on the official pronunciation of pneumonia.
Pneumonia? That's how they say she died? Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms.
They do. They absolutely do. There are heavy metals that can do it. There are lots of different things that can do it.
Now, one thing about Miss Jaguar Wright is she is always going to stand on big business, especially when it comes to Diddy. But she wasn't the only one who thought that Diddy allegedly unalived Kim, because Kim's first baby daddy, Al B. Shore, also hinted that he thought that Diddy allegedly did something to Kim. He made a cryptic post on Instagram that said, "I just found this footage from the morning I learned of Kim Porter's murder and how it ripped the soul from my physical body. I do know very clearly that Kimberly didn't just check out all of a sudden over pneumonia. That's some BS. We just celebrated our son's new deal and Christmas special with Netflix, and she was in fantastic health as well, laughing, seeing me and Diddy's mutual exchange at the theater. I'm going to leave it here. Hashtag don't let the love songs fool you." The fact that he tagged Diddy and then this hashtag? Yeah, I'll be sure 100% believe that Diddy took Kim out. Now, I'll be sure also hinted that Kim was unalive when he posted a throwback picture of them and wrote, "She sent me this saying, life imitating art, art imitates life." Now it all makes sense.
This is crazy shit. My mind is just blown by this craziness. Where's the footage though that he...
She told me other stuff too. She was running. I said call the FBI. The interesting part about this is that Albie Shore went into a coma shortly after speaking on this. And he almost died. And when he woke up from the coma, he never spoke on the topic again.
That's interesting. He speaks out, then he goes into this random coma, wakes up, and never talks about it again.
Suspicious, don't you think? Well, Jaguar Wright also made an interesting comment about Kim's passing as well as the timing of Albie Shore's coma.
Andre was writing a book right before he died. Heavy D was working on a book before he died. Kim Porter was working on a book before she died. And Albie Shore was working on the documentary of his life. And then he goes into a coma.
Y'all, that's not all. Y'all remember those federal indictment documents that the feds leaked on Diddy, right? Well, it turns out that the FBI was allegedly looking into Kim's death, and they stopped her family from filing a wrongful death lawsuit against Diddy because they were already investigating him for that.
Oh, interesting. So the feds already figured that he did it, and they didn't want the family to sue because they want...
According to the documents, they all have been contacted by the FBI, and 3 family members and 6 friends have been interviewed already and have been told to stay quiet. According to Kim's ex, Cassie told lawyers upon filing her own lawsuit against Diddy that she had information about the death of Kim Porter, and she has proof of the reason why Kim was murdered. Another part of the document showed that the feds had a lot of questions about Kim's passing. It didn't make sense. The document said, when Kim passed, there were questions about the manner in which she died. If they are going to say that it was pneumonia and that she passed peacefully in sleep, then why was there blood located on Kim's pillowcases? Also, a slight trail of blood on the bedroom floor that led to the bathroom. Why?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Eat everywhere.
Hasn't this been mentioned? It continued, Kim was not found unresponsive in bed. She was discovered on the bathroom floor. If they found her in the bed, then she was strategically placed there. Kim was not found by so-called housemates. That's a lie too.
Yeah,
she was being supervised by a medical professional that...
If you pay off a security guard half his year's salary in one shot, you know.
Was handpicked by Sean. Also, the last call Kim made was to 911 at 2:43 a.m. But Kim was found passed away later in the morning around 11 a.m. They took it slow because they wanted to bring those charges in addition to other charges, which would make it easier for them to get a conviction and send Diddy to jail for a long time. Now let's talk about Kim Porter's book, because listen, that book has been causing a whole lot of drama these past couple of months. First off, we know there was a book because multiple sources have confirmed this. Interestingly though, when Kim passed, her home was reportedly ransacked, and her laptop where the book was stored, as well as her physical notes, were all stolen.
Really? How is this not considered a murder right off the hop? Holy shit.
And to this day, we have never seen the full copy of the book. This had people speculating that a very powerful person who got exposed in the book didn't want it to see the light of day.
You think? Somebody's writing a tell-all book. They die, and the notes and the device right where the book is stored are disappeared.
And he put out a hit on Kim. Y'all, when horses did in the book. According to this snippet of the things in the book covering Diddy's gay relationships, footage of those encounters, the men he slept with, the STDs, Diddy giving Usher an STD, and the...
Oh, damn! Diddy and Usher, huh? Oh, Jesus.
explosive encounter between Diddy and Usher's mom, Mary J. Blige being impregnated by Diddy, and of course, she had a termination, the beating she took pushing him down the steps in 2007, just a whole lot. But that's not even all of it, because a couple of weeks ago, some new pages from the book leaked, and they confirmed that Diddy allegedly put hands on Kim. The leaked pages told the story of Diddy being jealous because another man sent Kim flowers, even though they were no longer together.
Wait, so somebody sends Kim flowers. They're not even dating anymore. He's been fucking everybody and their mother, apparently. And he's mad at her for getting flowers?
Kim wrote, "He threw the attached card at me. I picked it up to read it. Sean, he slapped me so hard I hit the ground. Sean yelled, 'Who were you with the other night?' I looked down at the card that was lying on the ground next to me, and it read, 'The other night was amazing. We must do it again.' I tried to explain. 'Sean, he threw the flowers at me. That's not how this works. You have my child. You don't touch anyone unless I allow it.'
What the fuck? But they're not together anymore. What the hell?
Continued. I pleaded with him. 'Sean, please.' He yelled at me. 'What?' I tried my best to calm him down. He probably didn't know. It didn't come up. You're probably dating someone else. So he screamed at me, and it somehow seemed even more intense. 'So you didn't tell him to back off?' 'Sean, I didn't.' And then out of nowhere, he hit me with the chair.
Holy fuck. Holy fuck. This is like right out of a... This is like right out of a full-on storybook. A lot of Hollywood types die of pneumonia. Brittany Murphy, Bob Hoskins, etc. That's true. That's true.
I don't remember anything after that until I woke up in a hospital room. My arm was in a cast, hanging from a sling. My face hurt. My eyebrow was in immense pain, as was my lip. As I came to, the first face I saw was of the man that put me there. After putting her in the hospital, he then forced her to tell people that she had been in a car crash. She wrote, "He spoke blandly with no energy. I told them what? That you had a car accident. They'll pity you, that you hit your head. He was going to make me look crazy."
That's nuts. And they weren't even together anymore. And for him to just this is nuts.
They were going to believe him. He was a kingpin. You're a bastard. Sean spent the next 6 months helping me heal and working his way back into my life and into my bed. I was so stupid. And of course, I wasn't cast for either movie. From what I understand, the producer died of pneumonia. Now first...
The producer died of pneumonia, did he? Oh, how interesting. Died of the same thing that she supposedly died of. That's very, very interesting.
First off, this is very suspicious how this producer died of pneumonia, just like Kim did. Also, this snippet backed up Cassie's claims about how Diddy would force her to lie about her injuries to protect himself. It's wild how everyone seems to have the same stories when it comes to Diddy. At some point, you gotta wonder if anybody's lying. And right now, it doesn't look like it's the women that were lying. Okay, so y'all know how I said that the feds are probably going to bring some charges on Kim's death against Diddy, in addition to the 1,000,001 charges he's already facing? Well, word in the streets is that the feds allegedly found footage of Diddy putting hands on Kim and allegedly threatening to unalive her and make her disappear.
Oh, fuck. If they... If they have footage of him speaking those words, he's done.
Again, this lines up with everything we've seen about Diddy so far. Cassie, Lil Rod, and Don Richards, all alleging in their lawsuits that Diddy bragged about how he could make people disappear. Lil Rod even revealed that Diddy had bragged about how he had allegedly unalived people and gotten away with it, and how he could do it again. Y'all, Diddy found himself into some big trouble because this alleged truth is coming all the way out. And when that video of him and Kim gets played in court, it's going to look even worse. I just wonder how his sons are going to feel when all this comes out in court, especially his kids with Kim, Quinn.
Yeah. And some of his sons have defended him. So, is Diddy a Clinton? I wonder how they'll feel about having defended him.
And Christian and the twins, the sons are currently showing up to court to support him. My heart breaks when they eventually realize what happened to their mom. The fans have been commenting and they've been all over this, saying stuff like, so I just learned that not only was Kim Porter obviously murdered by Diddy, but apparently the autopsy person who initially ruled it in a homicide also mysteriously died. And then the ruling was mysteriously thrown out and changed to death by pneumonia.
Oh, shit.
I hope Diddy dies in prison. I'm more interested in the truth about the relationship with Diddy, Kim Porter, and I'll be sure. Talk about a real sinister conspiracy. I can bet money that Diddy most likely killed Kim Porter. And Kim Porter's story is devastating, and I'm really proud of Cassie for learning from that woman's fate and controlling her narrative. Sean Combs is a monster and used his power to manipulate people and control them. Many never thought we'd see the day he'd be held accountable. Y'all, every day it's something new.
And this, like, Diddy's music, like, even for the genre of music that it was, it felt really, like, over sexual to me. And like, I never liked his music, but he just, he is very much in a big, deep amount of trouble. A very big amount of trouble. I would be very surprised if this didn't come out to be true. All of it. Alrighty. We are about to start our lovely question period, but I'm gonna quickly go to the bathroom so that I'm all ready to go and get a drink of water. So please share the stream while I'm gone, and we'll be right back to start the political stuff. Okay. Here we go. Today is gonna get interesting. Hey! It's a cannibalistic wizard. What's up, my friend? You're just in time for the craziness of Canadian politics. So let's do this thing. Let's switch over and let's see how crazy Trudeau gets today.
Oral questions. Questions au
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
We're going to skip the French.
And this to so in their pocket
Taxes up,
to be repeated again.
crime.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
After 9 years of the NDP Liberals, taxes up, costs up, crimes up, time's up. Today, we'll vote to trigger a carbon tax election between the costly carbon tax coalition of NDP.
Okay. They do the same thing in English, right? That's okay.
Oral questions. Questions au
Okay. Come on.
They added 100,000 public servants. They have doubled consulting
I wish
costs.
They had picked the better translator for this.
Double debt and the cost of housing. Is it not time to allow Quebecers to vote to cut their taxes, build homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime with a common sense government? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader is offering cuts for programs, cuts for services,
for programs that don't need to be there because they're supposed to be provincial.
In the fight against climate change, all the things that concern Quebecers and all Canadians. They have nothing to offer but austerity and performances here at the House of Commons.
Performances? I'm sorry. The Conservatives have nothing to offer but performances? Really, Mr. Trudeau?
Continue to cut programs like dental care, daycare spots, an investment in pharmacare, an investment to grow our economy with green investments. We are going to invest in Canadians and Quebecers, and they're just there to cut.
Green investments. How do you invest in greenness? Especially if you're only just... An investment in green technology is not what you're doing. You're just taxing the shit out of people.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. People who are poor are already seeing us.
Oh, of the Colbert interview? I'll see if I can find the entire thing after this is done.
Austerity because of cuts to their budget.
Because the last thing I found was just a segment, so I'll see if I can find the entire...
They still don't have the means to buy a house, they say. And this dream just gets further and further away for some, because the crisis just makes housing prices worse, and everything else becomes excessively expensive. In Montreal, when I was housing minister, it cost $500 a month for an apartment. Is it not time to allow Quebecers to elect a government that will build
$500 a month for an apartment? Man, this French translator is terrible.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, if this Conservative leader is so really concerned with single mothers, he wouldn't have voted against more daycare spots or voted against help for children with CCB.
Because you guys want to increase things that we can't afford, programs that aren't provincial to be federal. We don't like output when China and India are increasing their carbon output. Canada contributes less than 1% of the world's carbon. Yep. But according to Captain Planet, it's 99%.
He would not have voted
butter.
against
Don't you
back in their
care about
pockets.
the
But when
children?
he was housing minister under Harper, he did nothing for affordable housing.
When he was housing minister, we didn't need as much affordable housing because most housing was affordable.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
After 9 years of the NDP, Liberals, taxes up, costs up, crimes up, time's up. Today, we'll vote to trigger a carbon tax election. Finish your work, double your housing cost, and unleash crime and chaos, or common sense Conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Why can't we bring it home today?
Because we don't wanna.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, again, with the clever little performance of slogans he's memorized without any actual solutions for Canadians.
Wow.
He doesn't care about Canadians. He cares about his own political self-interest. If he cared about Canadians, he wouldn't have voted against dental care. He wouldn't have voted against.
Again, when he was housing minister, this house was only $90,000. Yep. Now it's $300,000. Yeah. And not a goddamn thing is done right. That's true.
More spaces at $10 a day. Voted against dental care. He wouldn't have voted against more spaces at $10 a day childcare. He wouldn't have voted against initiatives that are growing the economy, putting more money in people's pockets. He wants a climate change election. Let's have that election in the right time. Where we're putting
in the right time. In the right time. Now is not the right time. In a year when everybody's too poor and homeless and starving to care to vote, then it'll be the right time. But until then, it's not the right time. That's right, scream away. Wow, they're pissed and happy at the same time. The Liberals are happy and the Conservatives are pissed. This is crazy. I don't think I've ever heard them this loud in quite a while.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, he just said he wants a carbon tax election on his plan to quadruple the tax to 61 cents a litre. If so, will he call it today?
No, because it's not the right time.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I believe this on today we will see that this House does not have confidence in the leader of the Conservative Party.
That's not how that works, dude. You can't vote no confidence in the leader of the opposition. That's not how that works.
Mr. Speaker, we have delivered, are continuing to deliver, reduced emissions, more money in the pockets of Canadians, and success in the fight against climate change as we create jobs and build a stronger future. We are focused on delivering
$10 a day childcare with 2-year waiting lists because the facilities can't handle the amount of kids. Yep.
for Canadians the things that actually matter, while he's focused on slogans and clapping. Mr. Speaker, we're going to focus on being there for
slogans and
Canadians.
clapping. Yes, that's all Poilievre cares about. Slogans and clapping. Meanwhile, who was on the Late Show the other night? Holy Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I can't with this dude. That's it. I'm buying a bottle of wine on the Friday. I don't give a, Ugh. And this is only 5 minutes in.
The Right Honor.
Prime Minister. Yes, he is almost the Right Honorable Prime Minister. You're correct.
The Right Honor. The Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he's concerned that we're clapping for him. He agreed to a carbon tax election on his quadrupling of the tax to 61 cents in costs and unleash crime and chaos in their communities. Or a common sense conservative government to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. He's bragging that he has more politicians on his side. Isn't it really the case that in Canada, the people decide?
Yeah. Because we pick the way it works is when we have an election, we pick the party. We don't pick the person.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, with the Canada carbon rebate, the price on pollution puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians right across the country. But we already know from his misunderstanding of carbon pricing that the Conservative leader doesn't understand math or economics.
I'm sorry. He shows up with stats and reports all the time. And your finance minister wasn't even any in finances or anything.
What's increasingly clear is he doesn't understand science as well. That's why I'd be happy to give him a briefing. It doesn't require a secure briefing on the science of climate change, and good news on this one, it doesn't require a security clearance for it.
So first of all, he just waived the fact that Poilievre doesn't have security clearance. Second of all, he's like trying to make that seem bad. And that Poilievre won't ask for it. Meanwhile, Poilievre specifically won't ask for the clearance because then he will have to be gagged on what he knows. So, yeah, that's why he won't go for the clearance.
Order, please.
Maybe you could brief your environment minister.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the Bloc announced a good faith proposal that was reasonable about topics that have already obtained the support of all parties in this House. I would like to know from the Prime Minister if he can give us his word that he will quickly consider. So this is probably what we've heard or what we're hearing about with the ultimatum from the Bloc Québécois about the old age security. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we've already shown many times that our priorities include help for seniors and protection of supply management. We have shown this and will continue to do so. We'll continue to work with other members of this House to deliver for seniors and to deliver for our farmers. We know that there are concerns that we can work together on, and we're going to do so because we're always here to help Quebecers and all Canadians in these difficult times.
I love how he's like, thinks that these are just concerns, that they're not like really, really big problems looming on the horizon.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Well, here we go. This is a good opportunity. Seniors for whom he cut their purchasing power, and farmers, not only in Quebec and in Canada, we need to be more specific in terms of the intentions. Will the Prime Minister start a conversation with his sometime partner in the NDP so that we can have this project come to fruition in the timeline set out? Yep. The Right Honourable Prime.
Will they continue to what?
I'm killing Windows that way to see if it'll help.
I don't think, like, because there's another opposition day tomorrow.
Yeah.
And with the fact that the Bloc has put out an ultimatum already, it doesn't look good for Trudeau.
Well.
And Poilievre is not wording the no confidence motions based on any, like, carbon tax thing. Mm-hmm. What he's wording it on is the House has lost confidence in the Prime Minister. So it's harder to vote no on that because of all of the craziness, like the way that Trudeau acts.
Yeah.
So it was 213 to 154 today.
They're coming up on it.
1 hour 30 minutes.
I get through this a little bit more. Some of the French is boring.
Yeah, that's. I'm gonna skip through the.
Prime Minister.
Oh, there's Singh.
The honourable member from Burnaby South.
Privatizing healthcare means telling people.
Yeah, he still sounds pretty bad. Privatizing healthcare means telling people.
Honourable member from Burnaby South.
Privatizing healthcare means telling people you either pay up or go to the back of the line. Daniel Smith is privatizing healthcare in Alberta right now, and this Prime Minister.
Like, seriously?
Doug Ford is privatizing healthcare in our healthcare system.
I see that the Prime Minister is rising on his feet. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we have always defended universal health care, and we will
We don't have universal
continue to do.
healthcare,
But the member opposite has a point. In those provinces, the NDP was unable to stop Conservatives from getting elected and weakening universal health care in all those places.
Wow. That's.
That is why we are going to continue to stand up for universal health care, to stand up for progressive values, and indeed to stand up to Conservatives.
Yeah! There's Christian. There's freaking spastic lady there.
The honourable member for Burnaby South. Want to money where's position.
Medical equipment that's cutting health care.
The honourable leader of the opposition.
Prime Minister that's cutting health care. His carbon tax will cost hospitals across this country in heat, in laundry services, in delivering medical equipment.
In probably the production of some of the medical equipment.
Calculations by the Saskatchewan government show that the carbon tax will cost $175 million, equal to the loss of 1,900 nurses, all to pay the Prime Minister's greedy quadrupling carbon tax. Why won't he get his hands out of the pockets of the
saying, stop federalizing this, put it back in the hands of the provinces, and it's just cut this nonsense out.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The Canada Carbon Rebate puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadian families right across the country, while it fights climate change, while it creates growth. Mr. Speaker, fighting climate change is about building a better future for Canadians. For that is something
That means the carbon tax isn't working, dude.
That we have to step up on right now. And the Conservative leader, who doesn't even believe climate change is real, wants to do absolutely nothing about it. That's not good for Canadians. That's not good for our economy.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Hospitals don't get the Canada Carbon Rebate.
No.
A measly little check would not replace the $175 million that Saskatchewan hospitals are going to lose.
Yeah, the carbon tax rebate puts money in the pockets of families. Okay, a hospital isn't a family, you idiot.
To heat themselves, to power their machinery, to deliver their goods, and yet that's what the Prime Minister imposes. 1,900 nurses could lose their jobs in one province alone because of his greedy carbon tax quadrupling.
But it's the conservatives that are bad for healthcare, right?
Why won't he accept our common sense plan to axe the tax and boost funds for healthcare?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I will note that he voted against our plan to increase funding on healthcare to $200 billion over.
Because we can't afford it right now, my friend. That is why he's saying no. We can't afford to pay $200 billion to the provinces right now.
For the next 10 years, because he wants a two-tier system like most conservative premiers in this country. The fact is, climate change will cost everyone in health outcomes, in growth outcomes, in harm to our economy, in harm to our future. He has no plan to fight climate change. Our plan not only fights climate change, it makes emissions lower, puts more growth on the books, and puts more money in the pockets out of 8 out of 10 Canadians, the middle class, and those working hard to join us.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
More disinformation from a flailing and desperate Prime Minister clinging to power. I voted in this Parliament to increase health funding, and in the previous government voted to increase it by 70%, more than his government had. More than that, we did not impose a carbon tax on
straight up live
claims
from
that
Trudeau.
people are going to get checks. 1,900 nurses could lose their jobs because of the carbon tax in one province alone. A phony rebate check will not make the difference. Now he wants to quadruple the tax to 61 cents.
$50,000 a person. $200 billion.
It's a leader. How many nurses are going to lose their jobs while hospitals are stuck paying this quadrupling tax?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, he refers to the Canada Carbon Rebate as a phony check.
It is a phony check. It doesn't pay back nearly as much as what is spent out.
At least he recognizes that it exists, which is new from just a few months ago. The Canada Carbon Rebate, as defined by, investigated by the Parliamentary Budget Officer, puts more money, hundreds of dollars, back in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians, exactly the middle class and those working hard to join it, who need support while we fight climate change, while we reduce emissions, while we grow a stronger economy with good jobs for future generations. He has no plan for the economy, no plan for the future.
No. He just outlined his plan for the economy yesterday. Oh wait, you were in New York. That's why you don't know.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
My common sense plan is to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. But let's talk about education.
Sorry, 5K a person.
Talk about education. The carbon tax will cost Saskatchewan schools losing their jobs, all to pay tax to heat schools in cold Saskatchewan winters. Why is the Prime Minister forcing provinces to cut teachers and education to pay for his greedy quadrupling carbon tax?
That is insane. To schools, $175 million to hospitals. What about police services?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
And fire
Once
services.
again with his little performances, Mr. Speaker, the little rhymes and slogans. The
What
reality
rhymes or
facing
What rhymes or slogans did he just do?
Canadians right across the country, including in Saskatchewan, is wildfires, droughts, floods, issues that are being increased because of the impacts of climate change. And if we do not continue to take ambitious action, future generations will pay dearly for inaction by governments like the government in Saskatchewan that he wants to emulate. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, we put more money in people's pockets.
Just shit all over a provincial government
that he wants to emulate. Future generations will pay dearly for inaction by governments like the government in Saskatchewan that he wants to emulate.
He just called the government of Saskatchewan inactive on on climate change.
The reality is, Mr. Speaker, we put more money in people's pockets while fighting climate change, and we're going to keep doing that. While fighting climate change, and we're going to keep doing that.
We're going to keep doing that. And what is 8 out of 10 Canadians? I don't know. And future generations will forever be paying off these insane promises. If you don't like the facts, belittle the person instead. Yes, exactly, adventures. Exactly.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, screaming and hollering will not distract from the very...
I love how the louder Trudeau gets, the quieter Poilievre gets. It makes me laugh every time.
very serious question I asked. Can he tell us how many nurses and how many teachers will lose their jobs because his greedy carbon tax quadrupling will drive up costs to heat schools and hospitals? How many?
Yeah. Just a number. Yeah, exactly. Just a number.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, teachers and nurses across the country are terrified of conservative policies that cut programs, that cut services, that cut supports for the most vulnerable, for those who work hard to care for other Canadians.
Yes, look at how upset he's getting. Oh my God, he's losing his mind.
Whether it's their opposition to pharmacare, which would be delivering free insulin and free prescription contraceptives.
Hey, guess what, dude? There are provincial programs that deliver free insulin and contraception.
Whether it's investing in a school food program, going to
don't want that.
400,000 kids with more food right across the country. That leader has opposed the things that nurses and teachers care most about. So let's not take any lessons from that guy.
That weird cheering, yeah. Yeah, the ones with funny hair that take middle school kids to protests. Right?
Let's not take it opposed the things that nurses and teachers care most about. So let's not take any lessons from that guy.
Let's not take any lessons from that guy over there. He's evil.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He goes from screaming and waving his arms around erratically when I mention the carbon tax to bragging about a program that doesn't even exist. His multi-million-dollar school food program hasn't served a single ham sandwich, a single little bowl of Kraft Dinner, not one meal to one child.
And it's not going to serve ham sandwiches or Kraft Dinner, Mr. Poilievre. It's going to serve, like, Lunchables and like yogurt that was given to them by the grocery store because it couldn't be sold anymore, and that's if we're lucky. If we're lucky, the kids will get yogurt. They'll probably get like toast in the morning and like a Lunchable at lunch, and that's probably all they'll get.
It exists to feed bureaucracy in Ottawa, not kids in schools. So once again, put aside the grand dramatic performances and answer the question: how many doctors, nurses, and teachers will lose their jobs because of the quadrupling carbon tax?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I think it'd be instructive to look at how many doctors and teachers have lost their jobs because of conservative governments over the past number of decades, and that's exactly what this leader is proposing once again. I will tell you, Mr. Speaker, because I once had a job as a teacher, and I was...
Oh, you were a substitute teacher. You weren't even a full-time teacher. You dolt. go on though.
Again. I will tell you, Mr. Speaker, because I once had a job as a teacher, and I was proud of serving kids every day. I haven't just been in this house for 20 years like the leader of the opposition.
Colleagues?
It always sounds like Fergus is trying to whistle through his teeth when he says shh.
Colleagues?
How is,
The Honourable Prime Minister.
how is having 20 years in the House a bad thing? I don't know. I guess because that makes him a career politician and that makes him a bad man.
15 seconds left on the clock.
Yes, I was proud to be a school teacher, Mr. Speaker, because it was a way of having a positive impact on the lives of thousands of kids over the course of my career.
Oh, please. You didn't teach thousands of kids. You were a substitute drama teacher.
I'm proud to bring their voices here into this house and continue to put forward how we support our kids, how we support the vulnerable, as opposed to the cuts that they propose.
Yes, blame the Conservatives for the past and not think of the future. Yeah, exactly.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil Chambly.
Oh, the block again.
Mr. Speaker, it's not a race, but let's talk a bit about figures.
We're going to skip him.
Headline.
And yes, to help our seniors.
Okay. So the Quebec people are just hammering on the seniors over and over again. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and see more Trudeau yelling at Poilievre. So I shall return in a few moments. Play tic-tac-toe while I'm gone. All right. We are back. And we've got more craziness.
The Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
2015. New York Times. Headline. Life in Canada. Home of the world's most affluent middle class. How things
Never
have
trust the
changed
dramatist.
after 9 years
That's
of NDP
true.
Liberals. The economy today per capita is actually smaller than it was 10 years ago. Per capita income has dropped more in Canada than any other G7 country since the year before COVID. The gap between U.S. GDP per capita and Canadian is now 50%, the biggest gap in 100 years. Will the Prime Minister recognize that taxing, punishing, and attacking our businesses is losing us jobs?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The Leader of the Opposition refuses to accept is that cuts to services and programs that Canadians are relying on is not going to grow the economy, is not going to help anyone through.
Yes, it will. Because the more you don't spend and the more your people pump back into the economy, the more it grows.
Have the
like
strongest
literally how
balance sheet
economics
in the
work.
G7 right now. The lowest deficit, the lowest debt to GDP ratio. Companies from around the world are investing in Canada because they believe in Canadians. We are wanting to set that strong fiscal position in service of Canadians who are hurting right now. We want to invest more in dental, more in supports, more in growth and jobs, and he wants to cut at this particular time.
And green technology, not just taxing the shit out of Canadians like you want to do.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, Canada has the worst mortgage debt, has had the worst housing inflation in the G7, and now has the worst GDP per capita change since the Great Depression, and the worst by far in the G7. Those are the devastating statistics that result in very real human costs. That's the reason we have 1,400 homeless encampments in one province alone and 2 million people lined up at food banks. Won't he realize that doubling housing costs and taxing people's food has very real human costs?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, when that individual was Harper's failed housing minister, he built 6 affordable homes across the entire country.
Because the houses could actually be afforded by people. We didn't need a plethora of low-income housing back then because even people with lower incomes could afford housing.
He did not help with the investments that Canadians needed. And his so-called housing plan that he talks about now, which is, again, more performance than substance, lots of slogans, no actual solutions, is not going to deliver for Canadians either. We're doing what he didn't do, which is work with housing advocates, work with municipalities, work with provinces, and deliver the homes Canadians
in 2015. Nope.
need.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
When I was housing minister, rent and mortgage payments were half of what they are now, and there were almost 200,000 of those affordable homes built right across Canada. Now, this Prime Minister wants to bring in a massive tax on home builders with hikes to capital gains. Now, the most preeminent economist in Canada, Jack Mintz, reveals that would cost our economy 400,000 jobs and $90 billion.
That's insane. 400,000 jobs and $90 billion?
400,000 jobs and $90 billion.
Yeah, $90 billion cost to the economy. That's crazy.
Where are those 400,000 unemployed Canadians going to be able to get the food and the money to pay their mortgages?
Before the Right Honourable Prime Minister takes the floor, I'd like to remind all members to please not take the floor when they're not recognized by the chair. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition is instrumentalizing Canadians who are suffering right now to try and score cheap political points. What he is not offering is any sort of...
Indigenous people for the last 3 elections. Holy shit! I can't believe he just said that.
...forward the most ambitious housing plan in decades, because we know that working with municipalities, working with provinces, working with nonprofit agencies and charitable foundations is a way of delivering homes. I was just in Vancouver speaking to a young student who got into an apartment because of partnerships that this government set up. These are things that make a real difference in people's lives, but he doesn't care.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Apartment that he bought his friend, the new Consul General to New York. $9 million for his friend Tom Clark to have stunning powder room finished in jewel onyx, crystallo gold quartzite countertops, a handcrafted copper soaking tub, custom bronze bathroom fixtures, $5,000 coffee machine. Did the Prime Minister go and inspect this palace in the sky on his recent trip to New York?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, engaging with international leaders on fighting climate change, on solving global crises, on standing up unequivocally for Ukraine.
Colleagues, just as I said before, just as I said earlier, I would ask all members to please not take the floor unless they're recognized by the Speaker, so that we can hear the questions and we can hear the answers. The Right Honourable Prime Minister from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, don't worry, on this side of the House, we're used to casual homophobic comments from the...
What did he say? I'm confused.
Speaker, what is it about the...
There goes the microphone. Okay, let's... Oh, wow. Fuck, he's gonna pull the I'm gay card. This
Colleagues,
is the Tom Clark thing, yep.
Not on microphone. I chose not to get up. I would ask, nonetheless, that the...
Fergus is such a little bitch. He's so afraid.
We all treat each other with the presumption of honor and respect. Under the... Colleagues.
Children, I wasn't done. Children, I wasn't finished. Shut up. I want the Speaker to say shut up once.
Colleagues, I heard a comment, as I said, which I could not stand up because I did not know who said it. But we should be... But colleagues, I don't appreciate when we would tar the entire members with that concern. The better natures of all members of Parliament here.
Let's presume there wasn't a comment about you and Tom Clark in the bathtub. And then let's presume that you're not gonna say that all conservatives are homophobes. And indeed that suggesting that you and Tom Clark shared a bathtub is even homophobic. Because it's not. It's just funny.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister from the top.
Mr. Speaker, standing up to bullies requires us to call them out on their crap sometimes, and that's what I will do.
Oh, no. Oh, no, sir. Oh, I say nay, my friend. I say a hearty, heartfelt nay. Take him out.
You set the bar. You set the bar on this.
Take him out. Oh, this is great. This is amazing.
Speaker, I will happily withdraw my comment if the member who suggested that I was sharing a bathtub with Tom Clark stands up, takes responsibility for his...
How dare you suggest I shared a bathtub with Tom Clark? You know what, dude? The more you keep saying how upset you are is the most... Ignore it, dude, because the more you protest that you didn't share a bathtub with Tom Clark, the more, even if it's not true, the more people are gonna run with this. Like, that's just how it is, right? Now watch the other member stand up. Yeah, I said it! You probably did too! Operation Rainbow Shield.
As I had indicated to all colleagues here, I was not able to hear or track the source of that statement. And I'm just asking the Prime Minister to be the better person.
Yeah, be the better person, Trudeau. Be the better man. Be the better leader. Be a good example for your MPs.
And to please just withdraw the comment and start his question again. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw the comment about defecating. I certainly, using the word crap, I shouldn't use that. I know crap is unparliamentary, but I will also, Mr. Speaker, when someone says something that is clearly homophobic, not them, I'm not accusing them of homophobia, I'm saying they made a homophobic...
Oh my God. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? I didn't say you are an asshole. I said you're being one. This is my argument with...
appreciate the Prime Minister withdrawing his comment and the chair accept. Sometimes in this chair, and for those who have occupied this chair or who will occupy this chair will understand, it is a very difficult decision day to day. I heard a comment, I did not know who said it, and the Speaker chose, for the reputation of this House, for us to move on from that comment. I asked the Prime Minister to withdraw the comment. I appreciate you withdrawing the comment. The Prime Minister, please respond to the question that was asked.
Oh my God! Oh my God, Fergus, you spineless fuck! You know that's not the comment that you wanted him to withdraw. The comment you wanted him to withdraw. And you're letting him split hairs like this?
Mr. Speaker, I know the very idea of standing up for Canada's rights and values on the world stage makes the Leader of the Opposition's skin crawl. What is it exactly? Is it standing up to fight climate change? Is it standing up for women's rights? Is it standing up for democracy rights and freedom of the press? Whatever it is, he sure doesn't like it when Canada stands proudly on the world stage because he wants everyone to think that Canada is broken. Well, Canada's not broken. Canada is the best country in the world.
Canada is broken right now, dude. That was pathetic.
The Honourable Member from Nunavut.
Nunavut are prevented from thriving by the lack of doctors and access to health care. The Conservative leader will want to cut health care, but they will have nothing to cut as the Liberals haven't invested enough in Nunavut. The Prime Minister failed on his promises to deliver the health care people need. When will the Prime Minister invest in the health care Nunavut need so they can thrive?
I like her.
Health agreement with the Premier of Nunavut. We will continue to be there as they deliver.
Why does he sound frustrated when he speaks to her? Listen.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
We signed a historic health agreement with the Premier of Nunavut.
Mr. Speaker, we signed a historic healthcare agreement with the Premier of Nunavut. Like, why does he sound like a pissed off teenager right now?
We will continue to be there as they deliver health care across the territory. We know how important it is to continue to invest in health care for the North. We know how important it is to continue to defend public health care in this country. We will continue to do that, even though, as the member opposite rightly points out, Conservatives want to cut public health care. They want to kill public health care.
Kill public health care? Wow. They want to kill public health care. That is a very strong statement.
The Honourable Member from London Fanshawe.
This government has failed to help our seniors age with dignity. Instead of putting people first, they've protected the profits of companies and abandoned seniors. They've let Doug Ford tear Ontario families apart and force seniors into some of the worst private long-term care homes. The military even found that some of these corporations, including one that the Conservative MP for Thornhill lobbied for, weren't giving seniors food and water. Wow. Why won't the Prime Minister put our families and our loved ones before profits?
Because profits are important to him. That's why. All right, we're gonna.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I agree with the concern the member opposite expressed on security and safety for our most vulnerable seniors. That's why, NDP, but we hope that all members in this House will stand up and support a Safe Long-Term Care Act, because we need to make sure we are protecting and supporting our most vulnerable seniors right across the country.
That's right.
The Honourable Member from Yukon.
Okay, let's
on their families and their
crony Tom.
There we go.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The Prime Minister says the way he stands up for Canada is by buying a $9 million mansion in the sky for his crony Tom Clark. Well, he goes on Broadway late night shows to say that they want to applaud that said that it was a small issue that the Americans had illegally taken $9 billion of our softwood money and cost tens of thousands of jobs. Conservatives got a deal on this in 80 days after taking offices. He's had 9 years and 3 presidents. Why does he keep letting the Americans walk all over him?
Oh, shit. God damn. Just fucking hammer, 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 hammer.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I was glad to have the chance to speak directly to millions of Americans in this crucial moment and make the argument directly to them that we've been making to policymakers that U.S. tariffs on Canadian softwood lumber hurts American citizens and consumers. And when I go on American television, I make sure to talk up Canada, unlike the member for Calgary Nose Hill who talked down Canada to Tucker Carlson, unlike the member from Thornhill that went on Fox News to talk down Canada.
No, they're not talking down Canada. They're talking down what is happening in Canada. They're talking about how Canada used to be and how they want Canada to be back to where it was.
I will always stand up for Canada proudly.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
9 years, during which time 3 presidents have imposed illegal tariffs that Conservatives had originally got taken off. And recently, Biden doubled those tariffs, causing 500 mill workers to lose their jobs in British Columbia. They must have been watching that show, seeing the Prime Minister say that their unemployment and their now poverty was a, quote, small issue. Why is it that he thinks he's such a big shot that the jobs of working people are a small issue?
That's a good question.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, it's obvious that the Leader of the Opposition really didn't like that I went down to New York City to talk directly to Americans.
No, he didn't, and nobody did. Nobody in Canada liked that you did that. You're fucking, it was a travesty. Because profits pay lobbyists and lobbyists pay backhanders to Trudeau and his cronies. Yep.
Perhaps he would have been happier if I accepted an all-expenses-paid trip perhaps down to Florida to appear at an anti-abortion church. I know he would have been all right with that because that's what he allows of his own members.
Who cares?
Real quick.
Yeah?
Did you know that a... here, let me just do this right now. We're going to pause there for just a moment. So... did you know that there was actually a leaked portion of the interview that nobody saw?
No.
Really? Oh, get ready to be amazed with this bit. Okay, so this is an unaired version.
Okay.
Okay.
Will applaud you because they have no idea how hated and incompetent you are.
Okay.
Great meeting you. It must be nice being in front of a dumb American audience who applaud you because they have no idea how hated and incompetent you actually are. So welcome to America.
Glad to be here.
Someone like
wow.
Great meeting you. It must be nice being in front of a dumb American audience who applaud you because they have no idea how hated and incompetent you actually are. So welcome to America.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Now, so do all Canadians hate you?
Yes, they do.
Good. Just
yes,
make sure you know.
That
we do.
Might be part of why I'm here. To,
Is that because you literally shut down people's bank accounts in 2022 like a dictator might?
Well, as many know, my real father, as Fidel Castro, was the prime minister during the 1970s, and my mom wasn't a huge fan of his, similar to how all Canadians hate me. So she was cheating on him quite a bit. She would hang out at Studio 54 here in New York City.
I can hear that it's...
She banged Mick Jagger famously, and shortly before I was born, she snuck down to Havana to get smashed by my biological father, Fidel. And then I was born 9 months later. Just look at a side-by-side photo of me and Fidel Castro. The resemblance is uncanny. That's where I think I get my authoritarian nature from.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Comedian Shane Gillis just performed in Toronto last week, and while doing an impersonation of Trump, he called you the F slur that is generally reserved for homosexuals, but truly is more appropriate for someone like you, and received a lengthy applause break.
I mean,
It's
people in
so
Canada.
bad.
Canada coming up next year, right?
They're trying to call one sooner, as again, people really hate me from coast to coast. My plan is to delay until next year and then get absolutely smoked.
Okay, back to this insanity.
That was too funny.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Falsehoods will not change $4 billion of tariffs the Americans had collected within 80 days of taking office last time. Those tariffs were slapped back on under this Prime Minister.
Yep.
And he's capitulated
Right away,
ever
pretty
since, not collecting $1 of the tariffs back. In fact, President Biden has now doubled those tariffs. He capitulated on Buy America, capitulated on softwood, capitulated on the Keystone Pipeline.
Capitulated on fishing.
When can we have a government that stops capitulating and starts standing up for Canada?
The existential renegotiations of NAFTA, it is the Conservative Party's position that we needed to capitulate to the United States and to Donald Trump. That is not what we did. We stood firm, we protected steelworkers, we protected auto workers, we protected agricultural workers.
Yeah, because NAFTA was so helpful.
Our dairy farmers, we continue to stand up to Americans while we protect jobs in this country, while they were saying, ooh, it's too important, you need to give in to the United States. We didn't, we stood strong, we came out of that with a win-win right across the board.
Let's see. Yeah, but ever since he had Obama on, Colbert has thought he's been a valid newscaster. Americans don't even, in general, don't even know who he is, and going on a comedy show, yeah, it gives you absolutely no kudos. Yep, no. Then what is back to work legislation? That's
The Honourable Leader for the Opposition.
Monsieur le Président, il a capitulé.
He signed a deal.
Protected steelworkers, we protected auto workers, we protected firm, we protect the United States. We didn't, we stood strong, we came out of that with a win-win right across to the Conservative Party's position that we needed.
Oh, did they cut it again? No, they didn't. Okay.
Deep is the Conservative Party's position that we needed to capitulate while we get right across the board.
There we go.
The Honourable Leader for the Opposition.
Monsieur le Président, il a capitulé.
He signed a deal that kept tariffs on softwood. Tariffs which the Conservatives had previously managed to get rid of. He caved in on Buy America, which discriminates against our companies.
Yep.
He caved in on Keystone, and now Canadians are investing $400 million more in the U.S. than the opposite way. Why has he caved in and let down our construction and forestry workers?
Because he has no spine. That's why.
Mr. Speaker, you should be very careful about reminding people what things were like under Harper when he was on the governing side. Canadians remember very clearly what it was like under that government.
Is that translator eating while he's translating?
Canadians remember very clearly when he was on the governing side. Canadians remember very clearly what it was like under that government.
He's eating! He's trying to get his
back on services, on our armed forces, on police and childcare. They cut all the programs that Canadians depend on, and didn't create the growth that Canadians need. We will continue to invest in Canadians and stand up for our steel and aluminum workers. We will be there to defend jobs in Canada. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, I'm scratching my head here. I'm wondering how we might not get there, because everyone agrees with the Bloc's bills. So I imagine everyone will end of jobs Québécois.
Small business.
the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He proposes to quadruple the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre on seniors, small businesses, and single moms. The Prime Minister spent his summer in a frenzy of high carbon, high taxing, high flying hypocrisy.
Yep.
Newly released data show that he went 92,000 kilometers. In flights on average every
Christ.
2 days, he went 300,000 liters of jet fuel.
That is insane. He went twice around the world and then some. And he went twice and a quarter of the way around the world. And burned 300,000 liters of fuel.
Why is it that he punishes working class Canadians with his quadrupling carbon tax when he flies around burning more and more jet fuel?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, perhaps if the Leader of the Opposition had
He
actually...
took a bite from his sandwich before the cut. Yup. My minivan holds 72 liters. That's a little over 300,000 of your van.
met with Canadians or talked with media or been out there across the country over the course of the summer, he would have heard the fact that Canadians need support from government programs and services. Canadians want to see $10 a day childcare. Canadians want to see support on dental care. Canadians want to see a national school food program. These are all things that he wants to cut because that's all he's offering Canadians. That shows me he wasn't listening to Canadians he was talking to. He was just making sure he could use them to advance his own political aims. We're offering salute.
Wow.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
So there you have it. He was charging Canadians for his 92,000 kilometers of flights so that he could go around repeating the promises that he's broken nationwide while taxing them. Then 114 Canadians combined this summer.
Jesus Christ! Managed to drive just around 100.
Prime Minister drive people into poverty, children into hunger, with promises he breaks and hypocrisy that he cannot reconcile.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, now Canadians know, Mr. Speaker, in the unfortunate event that that guy ever ends up Prime Minister, he's going to stay at home in his basement on YouTube the whole time instead of meeting with Canadians.
Wow. Okay. That's how is that going to be allowed? Yeah, that's
YouTube
right.
the whole time instead of meeting with Canadians.
Oh I'm Chrystia Freeland. Yeah, that's right.
We can resolve that question right now.
But we know the Prime Minister doesn't want to do that because he has such a bad record on the environment and on the economy. It's not just tax hikes, but Canada is now ranked 63rd out of 67 countries when it comes to the effectiveness of our fight against climate change. So that's the hypocrisy.
461,000 subscribers, 2.8 thousand videos. Holy shit. 130 million. 133,600,000. Holy shit. He's had his channel since 2011.
He's doing nothing for the environment.
It's almost as if Pierre Poilievre knows how social media works.
He not willing to try to defend his disastrous record before Canadians, the Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are starting to see that the leader of the Conservative Party has no plan whatsoever to fight climate change, no plan to put more money in Canadians' pockets while fighting climate change, and clearly he doesn't understand that the only way to create an economy for the future is to deal with the environment at the same time. So the Conservative leader's refusal to understand the absolute necessity of continuing the fight against climate change shows how completely out of touch he is with Canadians and Quebecers. The government, the right of women to choose his party does not. I'd like to turn word the other men, and makes what he's saying is completely false.
Never said they would touch that.
Protect women with legislation against violence that has shot up by 53% after 9 years of this Prime Minister because of his policies that releases the most violent reoffenders.
Oh, that's sad. 6.4 Trudeau or video, 6.4 thousand subscribers. 152 videos. 388,000 views. Joined the 20th of October 2022. Oh,
now,
that's
will
sad.
the Prime Minister allow Quebecers to vote to stop crime by putting true criminals behind bars and by making our border safe? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, women in Canada know full well that to be pro-choice means standing up against all those who seek to limit women's rights, who seek to take rights away from women, as we've seen in the U.S. And what we see from this Conservative leader over and over again is that he is incapable of standing up to members of his own caucus who would like to limit access to abortion.
Well, because he knows that that's not going to happen, and he can't, and they can't do anything. And they have a right to speak on that shit.
And who even vote in favor of measures. He even votes in favor of those members. It's shameful, Mr.
His intro video makes that one we found from my dad look professional. Oh,
Mr. Speaker.
Jesus.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Completely the House. Mr. Speaker, they
Just got away with calling Trudeau a liar.
as he's put all the resources into targeting lawful, law-abiding, trained and tested duck hunters and blown $67 million without recovering a single solitary gun that he promised 4 years ago to ban. Why wouldn't we let Canadians vote to stop the crime and put the real gun criminals in jail?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, every time the Leader of the Opposition stands up to rhyme off his little show, all his MPs...
And ask the Right Honourable Prime Minister to start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, every time the Leader of the Opposition gets up on his feet to rhyme off his little show, his party members applaud enthusiastically. But the two times he just stood up to suggest that he is perhaps pro-choice, silence from his team, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, really? I didn't hear silence from them. I didn't hear that at all. I heard clapping.
He cannot protect women's rights from the members of his own caucus, Mr. Speaker. That's not standing up for women. That's not protecting the future. That's not freedom in this country.
Wow. That's insane. His own party won't cheer for him when he says he's pro-choice. That's a lie. How can he actually stand there and lie like that? Hey! It's a Lord Famine. How the hell is it?
Colleagues.
We're all stupider for having heard that. Oh my god, that's great. Oh my god.
Colleagues.
Oh,
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, what we're seeing from this erratic performance today is a Prime Minister who's like a...
Can I ask the Honourable Member from Richmond Hill to please stay quiet as the Honourable Member has the floor. Oral questions.
Ah! Why did it go to the beginning? What the fuck? Okay, we're at the 59-minute mark. But I want to hear this. I want to hear this. I want to hear this. He just yelled at the Richmond Hill guy. We're almost back to it. We're almost there.
The Honourable Member has the floor. Stay quiet. Can I ask the Honourable Member from Richmond Hill to please stay quiet as
Richmond
the
Hill
Honourable Member has the
shut
floor. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition from the top, please.
Because I touch myself at night. We need a balanced economical outlook before we can start on global climate change. And just taxing working people isn't the way. Nope.
Beyond the normal fear and falsehoods, what we're seeing from this Prime Minister today is someone who is erratic and lost control of himself because he is so desperate to hold on to power, which now are funded and authorized by this government through a permit under the Controlled Substances Act, which was now cracked down upon by police officers for trafficking illegal substances and having 13 weapons. Will the Prime Minister stop giving the permits for these illegal drug dens so that we can stop the crime and bring home safety?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we recognize that far too many Canadians have been impacted by the opioid epidemic, by the toxic
Well, then stop providing opioids to them.
drug crisis. That is why we're doubling down on science and supports on the street. We're there to look at ways to help families through this, to deal with addictions, to lift people out of poverty. And yes, we will partner with people right across the country to do that on things that make sense in their jurisdictions. We're going to stay grounded in science while the leaders opposite choose their ideology as guiding paths.
I'm sorry. Who chooses whose ideology as a guiding path? Where? How? Why is Gamora?
The Honourable Member from Steveston, Richmond. Richmond East.
Throughout the summer, I met with my constituents and listened to what's on their minds. They want rapid construction of new housing options. They want their kids to have the best possible start in life with $10 a day childcare.
No, they don't.
And nutritious food in the schools.
You're lying.
They want to build an economy that works for everyone. They know that in order to do this, we need to make our tax system fairer. Mr. Speaker, could the Prime Minister please update this House on the government's plan to create fairness for every generation?
Softball question.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for Steveston, Richmond East for his question and his hard work. This is about fairness for every generation by building more homes, making life more affordable, and creating more good-paying jobs. And today, the House will vote on our plan to make the tax system fairer.
Oh! Back in 2020.
We know that fairness is the last thing the Conservative leader and his party care about, and that his agenda is filled with cuts to housing, healthcare, and freedoms. Well, on this side, we stand with Canadians.
The Honourable Member from Edmonton, Griesbach.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Israel's horrifying and indiscriminate bombings of Lebanon continue, and Canada is nowhere to be found. Hundreds of civilians have been killed, including 2 Canadians and dozens of children. There are tens of thousands of Canadians in Lebanon. Our constituents are terrified of what will come next. Canada must immediately call for de-escalation, take real action to create peace and safety for everyone in the region.
Right?
When will the Prime Minister act to save Canadians in Lebanon and their families?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, over the past days, I've spoken with Lebanese Canadians who are deeply worried for their families, and our hearts go out to the loved ones of the 2 Canadians killed. We need to see de-escalation right now from both Israel and Hezbollah.
Well, maybe Hezbollah's not going to de-escalate, okay? So Israel can't.
I spoke with leaders this week, including the King of Jordan and the UN Secretary General, along with G7 allies, on the need for urgent de-escalation. Civilians need to be protected. This violence needs to stop, and we need to move on a path towards regional stability and peace.
The Honourable Member from Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on the same point, it's clear that world leaders have been calling out for the last year since the horrific attacks of October 7th for restraint and to control the conflict so it doesn't spread as it just is spreading into Lebanon. And
okay, so yell at Hezbollah. Yeah, seriously, yell at Hezbollah. What do you want them to do?
we know who the enemy of peace is. Unfortunately, he has a...
How about everyone just back the fuck out and let them settle it on their own, right? And how about we not be anti-Semitic in this fucking House of Parliament?
Colleagues, I'll ask you to please only... I'll ask you only to take the floor when you're recognized by the chair. The honourable member from Saanich Gulf Islands, one moment, please.
I'm afraid you can't actually say something. Oh wait, there is no one to tell that to. Yeah. Right?
Saanich Gulf Islands to conclude question. She has 10 seconds on the clock.
Mr. Speaker, is that we are allies of Israel, but Israel's daily hostages, and he seems to care nothing about innocent civilians, whether in Gaza.
That's not a question. That's not a question.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the violence in the Middle East needs to stop. We need to see hostages released. We need to see Hamas lay down its arms. We need a ceasefire. We need to get back on a path towards a peaceful, secure, democratic Palestinian state. That is Canada's position. That is what we are working with friends and allies and partners.
He's broken. He's broken, you guys. He literally just broke himself. Oh my goodness. Okay, we have reached the conclusion of our political stuff. So, what are we at? What should we do here? We are at the 2:46 mark. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh no, I don't know what to do now because it's getting so late. I wanted to finish Chaos Reigns tonight. But I don't know if I can now. You know what we'll do? I'm gonna end up early and finish Chaos Reigns in the morning before the kids get up. That's what I'm gonna do. So, I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for the whole stream. You guys kick ass. And I will see you guys bright and early, and we will finish up the Chaos Reigns. I think we've got 5 more chapters, so it should go by pretty quick because the chapters aren't that long. So, and then we can go on to learning characters and stuff. So that'll be fun. So come by then in the morning with some coffee.